But before she could finish what she was saying, Nwaka pushed her into the quicksand and ran home immediately. Ikenna came back from the farm that same day. He looked for his sister Nene, but could not find her. He asked all her friends, but none of them agreed to have seen her. This got him worried. He waited for the rest of the day, but still, his sister did not come back. When it was midnight, and he still could not find his sister, he alerted the whole village, and they all started looking for her. They searched everywhere, but could not find her. They told Ikenna not to worry. Maybe she went to see a friend and decided to sleep over. But he refused. He knew all was not well with his sister because she never stayed out late for the first time or even go anywhere without his consent. This was strange. For the first time, the quicksand swallowed somebody halfway. Norma did not sink completely. The quicksand covered her up to her shoulder level. Beside the stream was a big palm tree owned by Joto, the palm wine tapper. Every morning, the palm wine tapper would always come to harvest the wine produced by the palm tree. That fateful morning, the next day after Nene went missing, Joto had come as usual to tap his wine. Then he heard a beautiful voice singing, Joto, 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 kene kene na Joto, kene kene na Joto, inariye di merenea, iukiye di merenea, wakese bobola, wakese bobola, bulite mmiri gbalaga, bulite mmiri gbalaga, emere m ihe ọjọọ, gịnị ka m mere dị njọ, gịnị ka m mere nwaka ego na mgbara ego dị mma si na chi, na mmara mma dị mma si na chi, nwakọ gịnị ka m mere gị ijiri chọọ m n'ọgwụgwụ, nwakọ gịnị ka m mere gị ijiri chọọ m n'ọgwụgwụ. Joto, 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 biko bịanụ nyere m aka. Joto, Joto, biko bịanụ nyere m aka. Ihe ọma i mere m n'ụwa, Chukwu ga-agọzi gị. Joto, 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 biko bịanụ nyere m aka. The palm wine tapper looked around but could not see the person singing. He never thought of looking at the direction of the quicksand because he never believed anyone could survive in the quicksand. So he left. The next day, he went back as usual, and the same thing repeated itself. He looked for the voice but could not find it. On the third day, when he was going to tap, he prepared very well. He said to himself that if the same thing happens again, he must find the person and find out what she wants from him. When he climbed the palm tree as usual, the voice came again, calling, singing the same song. He dropped everything and paid closer attention to where the voice was coming from. He realized the voice was from the quicksand. So he climbed down and went closer to the place. There, he saw a ladylike upper body above the quicksand, and the other part was deep in the sludge. He constructed a hook-like structure and tied it firmly to a strong rope. He used this to drag her out of the quicksand. He quickly took her to the other part of the stream, bathed her, and took her home. He took care of her and gave her food and clothes. After Nene regained some strength, she explained everything that had happened to her to Jodo, and she pleaded with him not to tell anyone. Then, Jodo told her that the prince will be coming back the next day, and he has been contracted to tap for the royal house. He told her that she would be going with him to the palace, even though she would not dance, because the dancers have already been chosen and she is not among them. On the day of the prince's return ceremony, everywhere was busy. People far and near had come to see their prince and witness the dancing competition and the person the prince would choose to marry. Nwanka, knowing that she had no competitors since Nene is no longer in the picture, was so excited that she was going to be the prince's wife and the princess. She said to herself that no one would hear anything about Nene once she became the princess. She would give her a befitting burial, and everyone would forget about her. After the prince returned, the ceremony began with the dancing competition. During the dancing, Nene and the palm wine tapper entered, but no one noticed them, as all their focus were on the dancers. Ikenna, on the other hand, refused to go to the palace, as life had never been the same since his sister went missing. He thought of committing suicide because he had nothing to live for, since he had not just lost his sister, but also their means of survival, his father's land. He didn't know how to get the money to pay back the person he leased their only land to. He hardly see food to eat because he had no land to cultivate. After rattling through his whole thoughts, he went inside, took a rope, and tied it on a tree. As he was about to hang himself, he heard a voice calling him and yelling, "Nene is back." He paid closer attention and started running towards the voice. The girl calling told him that his sister is back and she's in the palace. He ran past the girl and ran to the palace. By the time he got to the palace, the dancing competition was over and Nwanka was declared the winner. Her joy knew no bounds. Her dream had finally come to pass. The prince stood up, congratulated her, and hugged her. When it was time for the prince to choose his wife, the prince stood up and congratulated Nwanka once again. And then he said to the people, "I am amazed by what I see, but I wouldn't like to make the winner my wife, for I have another choice among us, whom my eyes have caught." His father told him to go ahead and make his choice. Then he went down directly to where Nene was hidden and took her to his father. This was when other people noticed her presence. Everywhere was filled with people shouting for joy. Ikenna did not know when he started crying. And Nwanka, immediately she saw Nene, she fainted. This was an unimagined moment, a moment of joy for some people and sorrow for others. The prince was surprised at what was happening. Is the joy because he picked a wife? But he noticed it was not just that. So, After the king blessed them, the prince asked Nene the reason for the people's reaction. She explained to him that no one expected her to be here because she had been missing for days now. The prince asked her what happened, and she said nothing. Then the palm wine tapper stepped in and told the prince everything that had happened. All that Nene told him happened to her. Without wasting time, the prince ordered that Nwanka be arrested and locked up in the palace prison. After everything, Nwanka confessed how she had burnt the clothes Nene bought initially and other things she had done to ensure Nene did not ruin her chances of being with the prince. But she never knew that anything that does not belong to you, no matter the struggle, would never come to you. Nwaka was punished according to their tradition. Nene and the prince lived happily. The prince helped them acquire their father's land back and placed Ikenna on a good job. He also rewarded Joto, the palm wine tapper.